ChargePoint paves a path for more electric vehicles on the road by proliferating the quantity and quality of the EV charging experience. They provide networked charging hardware connected through cloud-based software services to make the experience of accessing power as easy as possible for EVs in commercial, fleet, and residential settings. So make sure your battery is at least 20% or you're plugged into an outlet, because we're going on a trip to see this company's approach to EV charging infrastructure. On the way, we'll tour through their technology, browse their business model in all its glory and flaws, and see what they're up against, competition and regulatory-wise. Now, while you're securing your power source, remember this video is brought to you by Ascencore. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to support this and other future content. Thanks in advance. Now buckle up and let's go. ChargePoint typically sells networked charging hardware with its software, underscoring their more comprehensive approach of providing a charging experience. As opposed to just selling chargers and/or software services, the company states they usually don't own or operate EV charging assets, nor do they monetize drivers or rely upon profits from the sale of electricity. They say this so-called capital-light business model allows their focus to be concentrated on investments for research and development, where attention is on advancing charger technology for both alternating current AC and DC fast charging, alongside software for drivers, hosts, and fleet operators. At the same time, there is emphasis on, quote, scaling active networked ports more cost efficiently as compared to other models in the EV industry, where the charging station operator, or CPO, deploys its capital to purchase, install, and manage the charging stations, owns and operates the charging station, and depends upon profits on the sale of electricity for its return on capital deployed. They also tout their go-to-market strategy, where site owners, or CPOs, have full control over branding, access, pricing, and policies, so they can shape the charging experience for employees and customers. Due to ChargePoint stations having customizable video and signage options for customers who want to promote their brand, the go-to-market strategy's geographical focus has so far been on North America and Europe. When it comes to the commercial segment of the go-to-market strategy, attention goes towards businesses or establishments that already own or lease parking and have the desire to electrify. Common examples are retail centers, offices, medical complexes, schools, airports, municipalities, convenience stores, recreation centers, and fast fueling sites. ChargePoint also targets these kinds of customers under the premise commercial businesses view charging as essential and invest to attract tenants, employees, customers, and visitors, generate direct and indirect income, and achieve sustainability goals. With this logic, charging stations are another selling point for businesses to attract customers. For instance, charging stations at a store parking lot can be viewed as more attractive to shoppers compared to a store parking lot without charging. Likewise, tenants may choose to rent a property with charging infrastructure as opposed to those without it for more travel options using EVs. Next, ChargePoint defines fleet customers as public and private organizations that operate vehicle fleets in delivery or logistics, sales, service, motor pool, shared transit, and as ride-sharing service operators. Fleets are reported to gravitate towards ChargePoint to help them design and fuel operations, manage operating costs, and achieve sustainability goals. Their offerings are adaptable enough to serve single-vehicle take-home fleets to full-scale electrified depots. When it comes to the residential part of the go-to-market strategy, we're mostly talking about single-family residences that want the convenience of fueling at home with the ability to optimize energy costs, and full integration with the same mobile application they use for charging away from home. Residential charging is capable of managing grid load in conjunction with utility programs and EV fueling rate programs. Then, unlike the commercial or fleet segments that use direct sales teams and channel partners to reach their customer base, residential marketing is primarily towards single-family residences and is done through direct marketing to the consumer using proprietary and third-party e-commerce platforms, as well as through partnerships with utilities, car dealerships, and insurance companies. For apartments and condominium settings, ChargePoint offers landlords and owner associations the ability to offer charging billed directly to tenants. This subsection of residential customers is reached via direct marketing and channel partners. This includes ChargePoint's proprietary web store and other e-commerce platforms across the United States and Canada. ChargePoint notes their success is, quote, dependent in part upon establishing and maintaining relationships with a variety of channel partners that it utilizes to extend its geographic reach and market penetration. This is because they use a two-tiered indirect fulfillment model whereby ChargePoint sells its products and services to its distributors, which in turn sell to resellers, which then sell to end users. ChargePoint refers to these end users as its customers. Charging stations can charge most types of EVs, from cars, trucks, and delivery vehicles to buses and 18-wheelers, regardless of manufacturer or connector type. All leading connector types are supported, including SAE J3400, formerly known as the North American Charging Standard, or NACS. The company explains the wide compatibility for different charging connectors, lets them ride the wave of increased EV use without having to rely on the success of specific vehicles or manufacturers. Instead, they report they have, quote, historically seen a correlation between new passenger EV sales in North America and its charging port growth in North America. Regardless of the particular types of EVs entering the market, ChargePoint hypothesizes EV charging will transition from an inconvenient, dedicated fueling stop at a destination to convenient charging mapped to areas where vehicles have dwell time and for certain fleet applications along route requirements of the vehicle. Put another way, they think EVs won't take trips to charging stations specifically to power up, similar to a conventional car going on dedicated trips to gas stations to fuel up. Rather, EVs will increasingly charge when not in use during their so-called dwell time, when they are idle, as well as periodic charging along routes of travel that are especially suited for fleet vehicles like trucks and buses. ChargePoint notes, passenger vehicles spend upwards of 95% of their time parked, and most fleet vehicles also have substantial dwell time. They say this driver behavior is the impetus behind the deployment of AC chargers for longer dwell time sessions. In general, the company seems to lean towards a larger portion of AC chargers to fit these more common use cases, along with the benefit of them being cheaper. DC fast charging ports are suited for shorter dwell time sessions, but are noted to be significantly more expensive than AC ports to purchase, install, and operate due to the higher charging rate. Though customers can choose the portion of AC and/or DC charging ports they purchase and install based on their own requirements. From ChargePoint's network effect perspective, their goals are ubiquity, accessibility, usability, and reliability, whereby charging infrastructure is broadly distributed, easily found, easy to use, and always operational. In practical terms, this means charging ports are easily located via ChargePoint's mobile app and in-dash applications. While their networked hardware is easy to use and manage through applications via their cloud services provided to hosts. Maintaining high uptime for networked hardware is also supported through customer support organization and a network of service partners. The majority of revenue is reported to come from the sale of networked charging hardware combined with cloud services, billed as a subscription. ChargePoint also provides an extended parts and labor warranty. It is called Assure and takes the form of an annual subscription. These offerings are available to commercial and fleet customers as software only, or a combination of software, hardware, and extended parts and labor warranty. There is the option of an upfront sale of the charging station hardware with separate subscriptions for cloud services and Assure, or ChargePoint as a Service, referred to as CPAS, in which charging station hardware, cloud services, and Assure are bundled into a multi-year or annual subscription. Cloud services subscriptions enable commercial and fleet customers to manage charging in their parking lots and depots. Features are tuned for a variety of settings, such as retailers optimizing charging station locations and pricing for foot traffic and loyalty. Whereas employers and multi-family commercial real estate operators can make fueling an efficient benefit to attract talent or tenants. While parking operators can vary pricing to reflect market conditions, and fleet operators can manage use cases from having drivers take their own vehicles home every day to high-power, high-complexity centralized fleet depots. This level of customization is possible due to cloud services being capable of supporting functions like station and site host management, which can make charging accessible to the public or select users. There is also the ability to simplify the management of multiple charging sites and their parking policies alongside of feature-enabling subhosts. On top of that, cloud services deliver analytics, utilization reporting, remote diagnosis, and software updates. Cloud services are also an integral part of adaptable host pricing and payment remittance capabilities that enable site hosts or station owners to set pricing such as by driver group, time of day, idle status, energy dispensed, or by session, while remittance is possible to one or many accounts. Software is also useful for energy management that enables stations to share circuits, oversubscribe electrical panels to add more ports beyond the peak electrical capacity, and support the creation of advanced groups and rules which enable energy use policies. Energy management can be integrated with support for building load management and integration with utility load management programs. Driver management tools encompass convenience features like specific user access via the ChargePoint connection system, the creation of driver groups to support a site host policy, and waitlist or reservation features for drivers to reserve a place in line. For fleet use, there is integration with route planning systems for on-budget deadline scheduling, in accordance with energy rate structures and on-site energy storage, along with on-site and on-route charging with support for fueling payment through integration with fuel cards. Fleet software integrations also offer load control, charging scheduling, and alerts to reduce cost and improve reliability. ChargePoint states their software is designed to integrate with fuel management systems, fleet operations software, and vehicle telematics to enable seamless integration into fleet processes. Then, in general, CPOs can opt for ChargePoint's cloud services while selecting their choice of third-party hardware or e-mobility services providers, EMSPs, to build and integrate their solutions with ChargePoint's cloud services. This option is stated to be an extensible solution to any CPO or EMSP, in that ChargePoint software platform enables charging station owners, CPOs, and EMSPs to manage costs, optimize fleet operations, integrate loyalty programs, and manage payments, all while empowering seamless integrations with customer workflows, fuel and fleet cards providers, payment processors, utilities, and energy services, even if they don't buy ChargePoint hardware. The role of cloud services cannot be understated in ChargePoint's efforts to scale charging infrastructure. Software highlights the importance of managing the charging experience beyond the scope of the physical hardware of charging stations. An interesting example of when the focus on software became advantageous was in January 2024, when ChargePoint received Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, FedRAMP authorization, formalizing that all ChargePoint cloud services products are FedRAMP authorized and meet all FedRAMP requirements. These requirements are numerous, but among the most important relate to data security, dedicated cloud hosting for federal customers, and standards for authorization, access, and continuous monitoring, resulting in ChargePoint being positioned to serve government-owned and privately owned EV charging needs for federal fleets in relation to U.S. federal government EV charging objectives. Other key points about cloud services revolve around managing charging complexity, particularly the ability for commercial customers to adjust the rate at which vehicles charge to match the natural parking duration at the site and to avoid peak or demand charges. Charging infrastructure can also be improved with cloud services in terms of availability. For instance, charging for the public during the day can be reserved for private fleets at night or reserved for employees during the day and open to the public at night. There is also a focus on accessibility of cloud services through the ecosystem integrations. Drivers can access charging functionality with in-vehicle infotainment systems, consumer mobile applications, payment systems, mapping tools, home automation assistants, fleet fuel cards, wearables, and residential utility programs. Since all ChargePoint commercial ports are integrated into one network, drivers can use the ChargePoint mobile app to find charging locations, check availability, start sessions, set up reservations for a charging station, pay for charging, use their ChargePoint account to roam across networks, access preferential pricing, and loyalty offers. To further improve the driver experience, the Network Operations Center provides 24/7 proactive station monitoring and predictive analytics to find anomalies before the station owner or drivers notice them. Such functionality is reported to come from multiple sources of driver feedback, such as the ChargePoint mobile app and calls to ChargePoint's driver support line for actionable insights, with the ultimate goal of charging station uptime being as high as possible. ChargePoint defines uptime as the percentage of ChargePoint charging ports which are capable of dispensing energy at any given moment. They work under the premise that network reliability is often considered to be a barrier to mainstream EV adoption. So the more reliable the charging network is, the greater potential for more EVs on the road due to the peace of mind vehicles won't be stranded away from power sources. Now, because of ChargePoint's approach to EV charging infrastructure, they face competition from different sectors of the market, rather than companies that offer direct one-for-one competition with an entire group of similar offerings. One big competition category is made up of manufacturers of non-networked hardware charging systems, such as Tesla, ABB, Siemens AG, Alpatronics GmbH SRL, Kempower, and Alphen NV. Then, unsurprisingly, software providers that offer solutions to access and manage non-networked hardware charging systems have been noted to be another source of competition, with companies like Dreves, EV Connect, and Monta APS Another source of competition comes from CPOs or auto original equipment manufacturers that acquire access to sites and utilize first or third party hardware and software to build out charging infrastructure to sell energy, similar to companies like EVgo, Electrify America, Blink Charging Co., and Tesla. ChargePoint's primary business model doesn't include owning and operating sites with networked charging stations. They don't directly compete with EV charging providers that also operate as CPOs. In some cases, CPOs might even use ChargePoint software with other non-ChargePoint hardware as mentioned earlier. Due to this fragmented and indirect competition, ChargePoint believes it can stand out from the crowd due to the breadth and depth of their offerings, which are generally more comprehensive and flexible. That is why the European market presents great potential, since many companies are providing hardware only or software only, with few providing both, leading to intensified investment towards a strategy to, quote, establish a successful pan-European presence that maps to major pan-European customers and provides a seamless experience for drivers as they travel. This is mainly done by selling its proprietary networked charging stations or white-labeled third-party charging stations bundled with ChargePoint's cloud services. Standalone software-only solutions are offered through licensing charging management systems to e-mobility services providers, in order to serve as the back-end or technology stack for e-mobility services providers that offer their own proprietary mobility and roaming services. When specifically talking about Tesla, ChargePoint notes the potential for lower demand for on-site charging capabilities at businesses from the expanding supercharger network that has opened up to non-Tesla EVs. On a broader scale, there could be an effect from the increasing amount of major EV manufacturers adopting SAE J300, formerly known as the North American Charging Standard, or NACS, as the standard charging port for their future EV models. This would likely be in the form of EV charging networks, like ChargePoint's being less desirable. This sounds strange since ChargePoint does have this port. It has more to do with the willingness or lack thereof to retrofit or upgrade existing charging stations to be SAE J3400 enabled ones. Third-party contractors can also eat into market share since they can provide basic electric charging capabilities to potential customers seeking to have on-premises EV charging capability or individual customers who want home charging. On the topic of home charging, its improvement in convenience can lead to reduced demand for on-premise charging capabilities of potential customers at commercial locations such as the parking lots of stores. This would become even more plausible if battery capacity increases to a level where charging at home could be sufficient to lessen or even eliminate the need to charge while parked away from home. Though this wouldn't be direct competition per se, since ChargePoint also offers home charging equipment. However, they would still have to do some pivoting to address this potential shift from commercial charging stations to more home charging installations. In regards to design and production, ChargePoint has historically designed its products in-house and outsourced production to contract manufacturers based in the United States, Mexico, Asia, and Europe, with the majority of its hardware products manufactured in Mexico. Components are sourced from various global suppliers, with concentrations in the United States and Asia. Third-party contract design service partners are also used to develop hardware more quickly. ChargePoint's research and development teams are mostly located in the company's headquarters in Campbell, California, its facilities in Gurgaon and Bangalore, India, and its European locations in Radstadt, Austria, Amsterdam, and the United Kingdom. Logistics are mainly run by the supply management team that readies factories for new products, puts in place and monitors quality control points, plans ongoing production, issues purchase orders, and coordinates deliveries to distribution hubs that ChargePoint manages in North America and Europe. Distribution is done with third-party fulfillment partners that deliver charging stations from multiple locations. An arrangement ChargePoint says reduces order fulfillment time and shipping costs. Though since ChargePoint conducts the overwhelming amount of its business in the Northern Hemisphere, it encounters some unique challenges, mainly regarding commercial and fleet charging stations that are installed and utilized outdoors, leading to cold weather and seasonal change exposure, which have been cited as factors that can affect the sales volumes and installation rates of ChargePoint's products. This is mostly due to the impact of winter weather on construction timelines and delays. Additionally, ChargePoint reports a large portion of customers complete their annual budget approval cycle in ChargePoint's fourth quarter. Therefore, the financial results for any quarter do not necessarily indicate the results expected for the fiscal year, since the highest sales and earnings are usually in ChargePoint's fourth quarter and the lowest are in its first quarter, which starts in February. When looking out for the future, a lot of people pay little attention to the data collected in relation to software for charging infrastructure and EVs themselves. Yet, privacy and data security laws present another layer of compliance. ChargePoint and its industry peers need to take into account. One such example is from the European Economic Area, EEA, where the processing of personal data which identifies an individual or from which an individual is identifiable is governed by the EU General Data Protection Regulation 2016-679, the EU GDPR. Likewise, the UK has the UK GDPR and the UK Data Protection Act 2018. Other applicable laws and regulations concern the handling and disposal of hazardous substances and solid waste, including electronic wastes and batteries, particularly in the areas of generation, storage, treatment, transportation, and disposal of solid and hazardous waste. Examples of such legislation include the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, CERCLA, also known as the Superfund Law, and the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA, in the United States. In the EU, the Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Directive, WEEE Directive, would be comparable legislation. Then a major concern to be vigilant of comes from deficiencies in the two-tiered indirect fulfillment model regarding agreements with channel partners who are non-exclusive and are not prohibited from working with ChargePoint's competitors or offering competing solutions. Channel partners also have no obligations to renew their agreements with ChargePoint on, quote, commercially reasonable terms or at all, and certain of the agreements governing these relationships may be terminated by either party at any time, with no or limited notice. Other risks can emerge if channel partners place more attention on products of their own or those offered by ChargePoint's competitors. Some potential reasons channel partners may choose to limit or end marketing and sales of ChargePoint solutions are acquisitions and cooperation that involve channel partners and ChargePoint's competitors. Lastly, ChargePoint also needs to contend with the lack of direct control for installing their hardware. This is because they usually don't install charging stations at customer sites. Instead, installations are normally done by ChargePoint partners or electrical contractors with an existing relationship with the customer and/or knowledge of the site, resulting in delays if adequate skilled labor and electrical expertise is lacking. On top of that, installing charging stations needs to adhere to laws and ordinances relating to building codes, safety, and environmental protection, often requiring various governmental approvals and permits that may vary by jurisdiction. Moreover, building codes, accessibility requirements, or regulations may hamper EV charger installation because they end up costing the developer or installer more in order to meet code requirements, ultimately contributing to lower profitability. Charging infrastructure is undoubtedly shaping up to be just as electrifying as the vehicles they power. To learn more about other companies in the EV industry, please check out recent videos on companies like NIO and stay tuned for more uploads coming very soon.